1975, when I'm 29 years old, my life looks pretty good on paper. I'm an artist and the owner of an art gallery that's doing well. I work hard at my own art and at promoting the other artists. I'm married with 2 beautiful children, a girl and a boy, and we live in a nice house in the suburbs. I'm in love with the picture of how my family appears, but I'm not in love with my husband, and inside, I am dying. Growing up, my life isn't easy. I'm born in a displaced persons camp to 2 Holocaust survivors who later divorced. They named me Shandel, and when we moved to the United States, my name becomes Charlotte, a new name in a new country. I grow up as an only child in an immigrant home until I'm 15. I am told the only place that's safe is inside our apartment. I believe that to be true, which makes it hard for me to connect with people in the outside world. I become a loner. Being creative becomes my private place to go. I draw figures, and each has its own character. Some have 2 heads, 3 ears. These are my friends. I am an artist. My stepfather, Joseph, is a kind man. He's a carpenter who is always reading and studying philosophy. He encourages me to think better of myself, but I have no idea who I am. I meet a nice American Jewish boy named Marty. My family says, "We don't know what he sees in you. You'd better kiss his ass before he finds out who you are." I marry him at 19, and by the time I'm 21, we have 2 kids. Marty appears to be somewhere on God knows what kind of spectrum. Socially, he's boring. He often falls asleep wherever we are, and I am very critical of him. Not only am I unhappy with Marty, I also hate where we live, right in the heart of suburbia. I am surrounded by women who go out to lunch with their nails done regularly and whose big source of enjoyment comes from playing mahjong. Their husbands commute and are rarely home. But I decide early on that even though I'm unhappy in my marriage, I'm not going to do anything about it. My parents' divorce was hard on me, and I don't want to put my children through the same ordeal. But many times I find myself walking down the street crying, trying to get as far away from my house as possible. I know I have to return, though. My children, how I love my children, and at times they are the only thing that feels worthwhile in my life. I live with a lot of rage and anger, and often fly off the handle at the kids, at my husband, and at myself for being in this life. It had once been so important to me to be with a man who wasn't an immigrant, who had American roots. Now I feel like a fool who bought into a fallacy. I wanted freedom, so ironically, I jailed myself in a relationship that was stagnant and loveless. I know Marty must love me because he tolerates my fits of rage and constant critical nature of everything around me. I find myself wanting to disassociate or run away. I turn to pot, cocaine, and Quaaludes. These are the ingredients that make life tolerable for me. I look forward to partying and just tuning in or tuning out, listening to music with some friends from the art scene. We get high, lie down on the sofas or on the floor, and listen to album after album and then critique the music. I love this, and I never want to go home, but I have to. Things at home get unbearable. Our friends Jerry and Ellen owe us money for a painting they purchased from us. It's been 3 weeks, and our mortgage is due. Marty refuses to ask them for the money. He doesn't want to appear needy or poor, especially since they have money and we don't. I beg, Marty, please reach out to them. He looks at me like I have 2 heads, then goes back to doing whatever he was doing. I have no partner, and suddenly a surge of energy runs through me. I feel my face turn hot. My body begins to shake. I don't know what's happening. I want to run into the walls or out of the house. I feel as if my skin is choking my life force. Suddenly, I am in the film The Exorcist, and I'm sure my head will start spinning around and I'll vomit green slime all over everything. I jump up from my chair and run towards our bedroom. I make my way into the bathroom and jump into the shower. Once inside the confined space of the shower, I become overwhelmed. I feel as if I am dying. I'm afraid of myself. I start banging my head against the shower's tiled walls over and over again. I bang my head and I hear my kids yelling, "Mommy, Mommy," and Marty begs me to stop, but I can't. I want to disappear. I want to annihilate myself. I want to put an end to this ongoing misery. I'm full of fear and rage. I'm ashamed of scaring my 9-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son. But still, I can't stop. Inside me, a voice keeps saying, "Help me, help me." Marty takes a sheet and wraps it around me, then picks me up and carries me into the bedroom. He sits on the bed holding me for hours. I sleep on and off. My body feels drained. The next morning, Marty tells me, "Charlotte, I think you need to go for help." Probably the smartest thing he ever said to me. My children are quiet, and no one says a word or mentions anything that happened the night before. It reminds me of a time when I was a girl. A strange man walked into a restaurant where my parents and I were eating and said to my father, "You go near my wife again, I'll kill both of you," and then turned and walked out. We finished our meal and ordered dessert without anyone saying a word about what had transpired. I go see a therapist, and we sit and look at each other for an hour each week without much happening. I'm making dioramas in plexi boxes filled with my characters. I create homes and neighborhoods with treasures I find in the streets. One day, my husband picks up one of my boxes and throws it. I pick up the broken pieces, reassemble it, and name it divorce. I can no longer live this life. I need to leave this marriage and find out who I am. My breakdown serves as the beginning of my breaking open. Life changes, and we all change along with it.